I thought this time I'll talk to you about what happened to me of why I wanted to be a PT, okay? So I was helping my brother-in-law of my middle sister. I have two sisters, and I'm the baby of the three. And Sharon was married this guy, and found out he was an ex-con because he had done drugs and got, not a long time, but was in. But I was over helping him to take a Volkswagen engine out. And I had a Volkswagen in high school, so I knew a little bit about it. Really at that point only had 4 big bolts that you had to do to get out of it. Now, he's underneath with a jack, a hydraulic jack. And while he's there, the hydraulic fluid had gone out, and we had it loose, and he was going to help me pull it out, and it landed on his head. So I had to reach in, I picked that thing up, moved it, and that was no big deal. Next morning I get up, and I can hardly stand up straight. I'm hurting pretty bad. My muscles are all cramped up, and my coach sends me to a chiropractor. Well, he manipulated me and put me in the hospital because I couldn't even get out of the bed, how bad it was. And because of that experience, I then, the coach sent me to a physical therapist, and I go, what is that? Never had heard that in my life. And we were kind of basic at that point, okay? And the doctors gave you all what you're gonna do, okay? They didn't have it was a bachelor's education, but it was pretty minimal. And so I get this guy who's in private practice. Now in California, they had private practice starting in 1968. And this guy had no manual therapy being done. That didn't start until the last year that I was in the Army Baylor program. Then PT started to do that. So as I couldn't walk, it hurt so bad. But I said, I went up a slanted board, a sidewalk, and my back didn't hurt. And he goes, okay, well, we can take care of that. So what he did, he had me go to the American River, which is right outside of Auburn, California. That's where I went to high school. And but it was a real steep, so it was a cut back like this. And I could walk up that with no pain. And I did that every day, and it's like 1.5 miles from the very bottom for the lake, it's a big stream for the river. But I then took my girlfriend, then I did a wheelbarrow. So I was doing up the trail with a wheelbarrow, nothing in it, but that's huffing and puffing because it was so steep. Well, then I put my girlfriend in it and did it. And I kept that workout. I didn't do anything else. And then when football came, I was the most in shape of anybody on the team. And I could sprint and do all that. I had no problems at all. And because of that PT, I said, I think I want to do this as a profession. Because without him, I don't think I would have been able to compete in PT. And so the best part of this, I used to do a lot of teaching. So I've probably done 350 continuing education courses all over the country. And I got to where I was just so busy I had to stop doing that. But I'm teaching a course in Florida, and I can't remember what, I think it might have been the cervical spine, or it's one of the spine ones. And I see this guy and I go, that looks like the guy that treated me when I hurt my back. So I couldn't remember his name. They all, when you're doing a course, everyone tells you what their name is. That didn't help at all. I said, did you have a private practice in Auburn? And he goes, yes. So I got to tell I had about 40 people in the course, and I said, I want you to meet so-and-so, and he's the reason I became a PT. And he didn't know that. He was dumbfounded. I said, because he got me where I could go back, and I was about to go into the Optimist All-Star game in California. And I wouldn't have been able to do that without the training that he gave me. And he had his chest out. He was really happy that, that what he was doing made that big a difference in my life. And I'm hoping that with what you're seeing, what I'm doing, that you might have an interest in doing that. Especially if you got hurt and you go to a good PT, that will tell you right there if you want to do it or not, because it is very satisfying. Now, it requires some work. When you're doing manual therapy, you got to be able to hold on to some legs, some of these big guys. And I've had a couple of females, they can do on small people, they can't do big people. They're just not big enough or strong enough. And there's some guys who are the same way. I say, well, you have to get stronger. The one thing I made the women do is they had to get at least 70-pound grip. And that's really hard for a woman to get there. The man should be able to do 120, but a lot of them can't even do that. It depends on how physical you are, if you're doing your weights, and working out. So this is, the reason I bring that up is I wouldn't have been a PT if that incident hadn't occurred in my life. Because I wanted to be a architect. And in California, you had 2 years of mechanical drawing, and then the next 2 years was architectural drawing. And so I actually, my senior year, built my house for my parents. You never know what things will happen in your life. And then I'm glad I didn't, because then they didn't have, computers. You had to do it all by hand, sitting at a table, which I don't think I would have enjoyed. And now they hardly do anything because they had CAD programs that will just do it all for you. And that would then kind of lose one of the reasons why you're there, so you can put your input in. But anyway, hope that was helpful, but you'll find out, especially if you ever get hurt, you may find out, hey, yeah, I really want to do this.